Hi there. Good afternoon, late afternoon actually, from the Real Deal Kitchen. Uh, this was intended to be a little bit more of a morning chat, but we're pushing early evening now, and I am gonna bring up a little bit because we're always doing a little something in the Real Deal Kitchen about what we're doing this evening. So we have yet another spice mixture, but I won't talk in detail about it at this moment. But we're making some kitchery tonight, which is a beautiful Indian-based or derived healing soup based on mung beans and traditionally basmati rice. We're doing it with quinoa, and that spice mixture I just showed you has coriander, cumin, turmeric, which my co-conspirator, let's see if we can get him in here, Albert, my pop, is going to be putting into a big pot with onions and ginger, 3 tablespoons. Onions and ginger that have been melted down with a little bit of beautiful local cow butter, traditionally made with ghee, which is essentially clarified butter, or I often have enjoyed making it with coconut oil. So that's what's going on in the background here. And once again, this week has continued to be or prove a little challenging to get to a settled spot. And so it's been an arc and a theme of somewhat of what's been occurring since I've returned home from the hospital from this last out of the extraordinary loop that got thrown our way with the spinal tumor. And I just finished 10 days of radiation, or as a dear friend of mine, and it is sometimes referred to as radiotherapy. And so that was every morning for 10 days, not on weekends. And that, when one is trying to get into some sort of rhythm, definitely cut through the center of the rhythm. I'm sensing a question here, so in the honoring of the Real Deal Kitchen, do you have a question for me?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
What am I doing here?
He wants to know what he's doing here. What are we all doing here? And okay, big question. Who really can answer that? Yet in some ways, it is a lot of what's been on my mind in the last talk, and maybe always. It's about choices, and I have come to a choice. Some of you who are following about what my next larger treatment option will be, what I'll step into, and that will start probably sometime in early May. And at the same time, while I've been considering it, and as a dear friend of mine who sat with me yesterday said, she honors and is inspired by my thoughtfulness around this process, or my process with this whole journey. And many of you have shared that same sentiment with me, and that means a lot to me. And I've also turned some odd corner in my own process of seeing that my need to be the way I am around making choices in some ways is just simply another way of me wanting to control what is uncontrollable. That does not say in any way that I do not believe that one should be as informed as possible, especially in today's day and age, in when one steps into the foot of or the cradle of dealing with Western medicine and hospitals and that whole machine. It is a machine. You can get swept away very easily, and if you don't know what's going on, um, you might find yourself in a place where you don't want to be. Yet, I'm also seeing and understanding that if I'm true to what I offer myself up to, which is that there is a bigger, something larger than me. If we can call it the honoring the trees, or the goddess, or God, or astrology, or scientifically, as some people will feel, more astronomy, or whatever it is that we're offering ourselves up to. If one offers oneself up to the thought that there is something larger, then all of these, all this choosing and making choices, in some way, I also need to acknowledge is simply another way of me wanting to control, in a way, a story that's already been writ. And that's not fatalistic, and that's, again, not at all saying that I don't believe, I do, because I do believe one needs to be as informed as possible and advocate for oneself, or have people around them that can do that. Yet, this process of making choices, informed or not, in some way, I'm seeing that there needs to be an okay, a letting go, an allowing, a, simply surrendering in some way to what stepping or taking the next step may or may not mean. Because otherwise, then I will simply continue to use energy that can be better served in other places, like rest and repair, and strengthening my legs to get back to walking, or strengthening my hands to get back to writing, or dressing myself, which is, all these things that have become so, these basic things in life that have required the assistance of others since this last experience. So I think ultimately I'm offering that at the end of the day, the only job is, so if we're not spending all of our energy on choosing or healing, or our life is just going along smoothly, then what is there? At the end of the day, what I'm left with, or the idea or thought I'm left with, is that it's about how we are simply, as humans, becoming humans, human beings with one another, and the kindness that we show to ourselves first, and then extending that out to the person sitting next to you, whether you know them or not. So these are some thoughts that I've been sitting with, not crafted or tied up in a little bow by any means. Yet I did find it interesting that my companion yesterday brought that up, and immediately it has been something that has been on my mind, this process around making choices. And the picture that's bigger than that, than me, and then all of us. So I'll leave with that, and the kitchery is simmering, and I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Be well. Bye.